democratic history, constitutional history. Has that been of being democratic? And that is what the people have fought. And the numbers are clearly showing it. And I will reiterate, it was not a level playing field. And
Yeah,
if the numbers come towards, if India ends up forming the government, we will ensure that it's a level playing field, even for the Bharatiya Janata Party, when they're in the opposition.
Sadanand, yes, Ashwini Shahi is correct in saying let's wait an hour. But I think we can safely say, unless there's something dramatic that happens in the last mile, that the BJP has been slowed down. The BJP has been slowed down. It doesn't look like, unless something very dramatic happens in the next 2 hours, it doesn't look like it's going to be the kind of landslide like Axis My India had the BJP, the NDA potentially crossing 400. That was the Prime Minister's call, even if it was rhetorical for the NDA. The NDA is currently at 298 to 222 for the India Alliance.
Yeah, I mean, that looks very unlikely. And some of the sort of, you were talking about what some of the predictions were. Some of the grander predictions like Surjit Bhalla's, I mean, they do seem at this point to seem, really, really, really stretching it. I think that I think there are two different, stories over here. I mean, one is that who is going to form the government, right? And going by the numbers we see on your screen and on other screens, it still appears very likely that the NDA is going to form the government. But there's another question which I think is also very important, which is that who heads out of this with more moral authority, in a manner of speaking. And I personally think that, just to be completely neutral, if the NDA gets less than 300 and the BJP gets the less than 272, it no doubt, dents the kind of aura that has been built up over the last 10 years. I think those are sort of very crucial numbers. We don't know where this is going to land. I mean, my own sense is that, these things can sort of go 15, 20 seats one way or the other, right? You could end up with, at the end of the day, it's not unimaginable at this time for us to end up with the NDA kind of ending up in a comfortable place, let's say 320 or 330. But it's also not unimaginable that they end up at 280, right? So I think that's what's sort of super interesting right now.
Yeah, and I should say that there was one pollster, at least Sanjay Kumar of the CSDS, who said that he thought that the BJP could not fall below 250 and could not cross 300. And I think it's just time to remember him right now. But Yogendra Yadav, who's with the opposition, has been arguing that the BJP will fall below 270, and that is going to be, even if Ashwini ji, or let me get Dilip first, even if the BJP is the single largest party, which clearly, even with this competitive election, seems like is the case, and therefore is in pole position to form the government. Do you agree with the points made by Sadanand and Priyanka that the authority, the aura, the sort of invincibility, the complete sort of command associated with the Prime Minister has been dented? And that's already the case, or would you still wait an hour before making that judgment?
I would make that judgment in an hour. Because absolute numbers will matter a lot. But what is significant in what Priyanka has said is that the people of this country have very deep cultural and sociological roots in democracy. Any group that tends to, whittle at it tends to get pushed back. And I think we need to figure out whether that indeed is true. Those numbers will tell us whether in the states of Rajasthan, in the states of Haryana, in the states of Bihar and Bengal, this instinct is as sharp as we expect it to be. But, NDA at 300 with BJP at 280 is not the scenario that Modi 3.0 was looking to. So if you look at from their expectations point of view, and a severely dented UP is something that will cause them great concern, because that is a signal from people who they thought could be taken for granted.
Yeah, I think the ironies to reflect on is that the Hindi-speaking states where the BJP has traditionally been dominant, where Hindutva politics have typically worked, is where the opposition, apart from Maharashtra, has put up a very strong fight. That is something very ironic, Priyanka, to think about. I'm going to get to Maharashtra in just a moment. The Uttar Pradesh leads look something like this at the moment. The BJP, the NDA leading in 45 to 34. So it's there was a time when the India Alliance was ahead. That has been reversed. The BJP is now ahead, but it is not even close at the moment to its performance in 2019 at 62 seats. Priyanka?
Yeah, so two things. I really like the point where Sadanand made that he's politically neutral. I really appreciate that fact. Having said that, right from Bharatiya Janata Party deciding and talking about going above 75 seats, exit polls showing the same. What Uttar Pradesh is teaching us, even if there are slightly lower numbers than what BJP is getting, what Uttar Pradesh is also sending a message across is you can keep talking about 80 crore logo ko ration diya. People are not asking for this ration. What people are asking you are for jobs. Allow us to choose what we want to eat. Do not dump food on us and not give us our jobs. Then the inflation, sky high inflation. You're hiding behind the fact of a Ram Mandir. Of course, Ram Mandir is not just a Bharatiya Janata Party goal. It was a goal for over 500 years fought by various people. There have been various stakeholders. And for you to take that sole credit. So people of Uttar Pradesh are saying, okay, so we have the Ram Mandir now. Let's talk about people's issues. Let's talk about the Ram Rajya that you had promised to us in 2014. So I think these are bigger messages. And then, of course, the absolute confidence that we may give any candidate to the people of Uttar Pradesh and people of Uttar Pradesh would blindly vote for them, irrespective of who they are putting up. For example, Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh's son. For example, many other names that I can name. The alliances that you stitched up, the candidates that you brought in from other political parties, overnight you bring them into your party and then give them the tickets. So I think those are factors which people have watched. And let's not undermine the entire thought process of how voters vote when they go out to vote. That are they looking at somebody who's going to promise them another 5 years of free rations, or are they looking at somebody who's promising government jobs, who's promising creating a favorable environment, an inclusive environment that promotes economy as well as inclusiveness across the nation? And I think that is the larger message that is coming out of Uttar Pradesh.
So one thing that I will agree, and I've been saying from the beginning, Ashwini ji, कि जब मैं बहुत घूमी साउथ से नॉर्थ, तो मैंने बहुत से वोटर से पूछा, what do you like best about the Modi government? And they all listed many things: infrastructure, internal security, 24/7 work culture. And Article 370 की भी बात हुई. Priyanka, by the way, Brij Bhushan Saran Singh's son is leading, so I just wanted to make that point. But when I asked people that what would you like to see them change, and लोगों ने कहा नौकरियों और लाइवलीहुड पे फोकस, और हिंदू मुस्लिम की ये जो डिविजिवनेस है इसको कम करिए. और ये अश्विनी जी बीजेपी के खुद के वोटर्स ने बोला. तो ये रुझान बदलते भी हैं. तो अनलेस देयर समथिंग ड्रामेटिक, आपकी लास्ट टाइम की परफॉर्मेंस शायद आप रिपीट ना कर पाए. फॉरगेट इंप्रूवमेंट.
बरखा जी, देखिए, ये अभी जो रुझान दिखाई दे रहे हैं, ये सच है कि हमारे आशा के मुताबिक नहीं है. हमारे जो हम लोगों ने एक्सपेक्ट किया था उस मुताबिक नहीं चल रहे हैं. मगर जो बदले न बदले, आपने जो सवाल किया है, और प्रियंका जी ने भी कुछ कहा. अभी प्रियंका जी ने राशन की बात की. अगर राशन इतना इम्पैक्ट नहीं करता है कहीं पर, तो आप लोगों ने 10 किलो राशन की बात क्यों की? नहीं करना चाहिए था, आपको भी नहीं करना चाहिए था, छोड़ देते आप इस को. दूसरा, आप बरखा जी, आप तो कन्याकुमारी से कश्मीर तक गई, सब लोगों ने कहा. भारतीय जनता पार्टी के खिलाफ जो है ये नेगेटिव नैरेटिव फैला दिया गया है. और जनता में, देखिए, अभी आपने ही इंटरव्यू किया था प्रशांत किशोर जी ने, जो कहा कि भाई 4 लोगों ने बीजेपी को वोट किया और 6 लोगों ने दूसरे विरोधियों को वोट किया. तो निसंदेह जो है 6 लोग आपको मिलेंगे जो बीजेपी के खिलाफ बोलते हुए मिलेंगे, 4 लोग ही बीजेपी के पक्ष में बोलते हुए मिलेंगे. इसलिए मैं कहता हूं कि भारतीय जनता पार्टी के खिलाफ और हिंदू मुस्लिम का जो नेगेटिव नैरेटिव फैला दिया गया है, ये एक चस्पा कर दिया गया है कि भारतीय जनता पार्टी सांप्रदायिक है. तो हम बहुसंख्यक की बात करते हैं, और जब इंडिया अलायंस का, कांग्रेस का जब आता है मैनिफेस्टो आता है, उसमें लिखा हुआ है कि बहुसंख्यकवाद को बर्दाश्त नहीं किया जाएगा. उनका मतलब वो नहीं होता है कि हिंदू मुस्लिम की बात वो कर रहे हैं. जब वो पर्टिकुलर मुस्लिम की बात करते हैं तो उनके लिए वो चीजें नहीं आती हैं. क्यों आखिर क्यों, ये क्वेश्चन आता है.
लेकिन अश्विनी जी, the leads are again narrowing. This is just changing constantly. Priyanka, quick response, and then I'll get Karthik to do the overall number. Sorry, Akshay, I know you have to speak. Just quickly from Priyanka. Yeah, Priyanka.
I'm sorry, I'll just take 2 minutes. I found it very amusing when he said Hindu Musalman ka vivad vipaksh karta hai. Right from the Prime Minister saying कि तुम्हारा धन घुसपैठियों को दे दिया जाएगा, तुम्हारे मंगलसूत्र छीन कर इनको दे दिए जाएंगे, फिर तुम्हारे जिनके ज्यादा बच्चे होते हैं उनको धन दे दिया जाएगा. And again, right now also when he's speaking, he's talking about some Congress manifesto opposing the idea of authoritarianism, opposing the idea of majoritarianism. Is very different from saying that we will appease the minorities. So again, this is exactly what people of this country have sent a very clear message, and I'm only hoping that as once we form the government, India Alliance forms the government, and NDA is in the opposition, and Mr. Modi is in the opposition, he will actually take a step back and realize what all has gone wrong in his campaign, and where he started to believe that he's invincible, and the narrative that they're pushing was absolutely not what people of the country were expecting after 10 years of giving him absolute power to try and improve the lives of the people.
Well, I should say that the gap has narrowed further. The NDA is now only in a 20-seat difference with the India Alliance in terms of leads. So while we can all keep giving the health warnings that we've got to wait till 12, if the opposition today is talking about potentially forming the government, they are within some context to make that point today, given that, at least at this hour, given those leads. Kartike, what's your update?
No, Barkha, I think the way it's panning out is that the BJP essentially is losing in all four swing states: Karnataka, Maharashtra, Bihar, Bengal. Karnataka, Bihar less so. Maharashtra, Bengal more so. And the Bengal story is something that all exit polls fail to catch, it seems, because now in Bengal, the Trinamool seems to be bettering its position from 2019. So it's 27 to Trinamool, 13 to BJP, Congress +2. So the four swing states are delivering blows for the BJP, some more, some less. But what has really dented the BJP is Uttar Pradesh for sure, which I think has come as a bolt from the blue. Nobody was expecting this. But add to that, Congress making surgical strikes in the Hindi heartland, something that not a lot of us had, people had expected. Essentially, Haryana, Rajasthan were meant to be swing states. But the Congress is not just making surgical strikes, it's basically tying with the BJP in these two states. And the number that we showed that, Raj Babbar leading in Gurgaon, I don't think even the Congress would have predicted that. So this is how the trajectory is panning out. This is what has slowed the BJP down. And there are no major gains from Tamil Nadu, Kerala. Telangana, the Congress is leading. The only big upset in this election that is in favor of the BJP is the Odisha number. But that seems to be not sufficient to cover the losses that they seem to be clocking in states like Bengal, Maharashtra, Bihar, Karnataka, Rajasthan, Haryana, and Uttar Pradesh. So essentially, the BJP losing more in some, less in some, but there seems to be no place where a new sunrise is happening for the BJP. Even in the Northeast, the India Alliance and largely the Congress doing much better. So the BJP is not able to compensate those losses from states like Odisha and Andhra, which is where they're doing better. Telangana also they're doing better, but not as much as some of the exit polls had predicted, and definitely not as much as they would have wanted to cover those losses.
Okay, let me jump in.
So that's one of the reasons why since morning, not once have we seen a situation where the BJP has by itself crossed 272. And at this point, all sources kind of converging. And, the source that we are actually following is now giving the NDA less than 272. It is giving 254 to India. The other source that I'm tracking is giving the NDA 289 and India 226. So basically, we are in that ballpark where it's not the BJP which is struggling for 272 anymore, but it is the NDA which seems to be struggling for 272 at this point in time.
Well, if this pans out, then in the battle of who won, Prashant Kishore versus Yogendra Yadav won. If this holds, that we should say. Akshay, you've been wanting to come in. Akshay?
You're on mute, Akshay.
Am I audible now?
Yeah.
Barkha, as we are dissecting the reasons for why what we are witnessing today may have been, and I think one of the things that contributed majorly to the BJP's loss of narrative, in my opinion, was the day that they arrested Arvind Kejriwal and Hemant Soren. Because if you remember, the day Arvind Kejriwal ji was arrested, for the first time, we saw the entire India alliance, all parties kind of speaking in one voice, saying that Mr. Modi is a dictator and we need to come together to save our country from this dictator, from this kind of authoritarian regime that has decided to jail all of its opponents. So this is not to suggest that Arvind Kejriwal is responsible for the India alliance winning, but it was a major turning point in the election, in my opinion, when we saw that even Congress workers in Kerala. I was quite shocked. They were protesting on the streets for Mr. Arvind Kejriwal's arrest. So that was the kind of cohesive narrative that started to build post that point, where you saw there was a lot of camaraderie between the alliance partners. Even Arvindji even went to campaign in Maharashtra, where in Mumbai, in Bhiwandi, he did rallies. He went to Lucknow to sit down with Akhilesh Yadav. And remember, even though we ourselves contested only 22 seats, consistently Arvind Kejriwal has showed up as a major Indian opposition leader in all polls, especially the C voter tracker that Yashwant Deshmukh does.
But Akshay, I have to jump in there. By the way, the Election Commission data says Smriti Irani is trailing. Can I come back to all my guests now? Akshay, I have to ask you a question. If Kejriwal's arrest was a major factor, why is it not reflected differently in Delhi or in Punjab?
No, I think that's a valid question, especially for Delhi. It was a very tough battle. The margins in Delhi, even from 2014 to 2019, were humongous. And I think the alliance between AAP and Congress put up a very spirited fight. Let's see what happens. So far, the margins are very thin. Let me also say that especially in South Delhi right now, I think it's 5,000. In New Delhi, it is 11,000. We have several rounds to go. It's going to be a nail-biting finish. In Punjab, we started with 0 seats. We are at 4. Hope we might do even better. So, it's a win-win for Aam Aadmi Party from where I'm looking at it.
Okay, Priyanka, what is the one big thing you think the BJP got wrong? It's time, I think we can ask that question. The BJP is nowhere within the margins that it has sought for itself.
Very clearly, it's the overconfidence and its belief that people of the country will get fooled thrice. And I'm being very, I'm not being sarcastic about it. I'm not trying to say something before the time comes to say what I have to say. But all I can say is, going by the past history of how India has voted, going by the past history of how, arrogance has had to pay a price in this nation, this clearly seems to be an outcome. And also, the David versus Goliath fights that we saw, where we saw Mr. Modi making himself to be larger than life, Bharatiya Janata Party making themselves to believe and making people believe that they were invincible, mocking electoral bonds controversy, mocking corruption charges, going absolutely brazen in support of some, the wealth creators who are, the leading to wealth inequity in this country, mocking the poor by saying, hello, we are giving you rations, so please be grateful and vote for us. Then, all these factors do come into play. After all, it is about a voter's self-confidence, self-respect. And that is what you continuously continue to mock and totally ignore the valid questions coming from the people, from the women of this country, from the youth of this country, right from government jobs, right from promising them jobs, right from, mocking the entire issue that they were facing in terms of the paper leaks. All of those are factors that I see has led to Bharatiya Janata Party's victory march coming to a halt, and I would say finally sensitive killing in this country.
At the moment, I think as Karthikeya pointed out, it isn't just the BJP that is currently below 272. The NDA is just one ahead of 272. It's currently leading in 273.
And if I can just make one point, Barkha, just one point.
Yes,
we must also realize that the allies that BJP has collected are not those allies which have stood firmly with them. For example, Shiv Sena, they managed to throw them out of the NDA alliance. You saw Shiromani Akali Dal go out of the alliance. And all these alliances that they have managed to stitch together are coming on the basis of some ED threat, some agencies being misused, and some arm twisting at play. And if they see wind changing or, the sentiment of the people moving, I'm very certain that those who are forming the part of NDA will also very happily move towards the India alliance.
That is a very interesting point, that there are others, there are also BJP allies. Nitish Kumar has flipped so many times, he could flip another time and nobody would remember. Karthik, I'm really going to request you to give us some granular data if we have it on the Congress BJP breakdown. We do know, of course, that the BJP is below 272, but where is it settling exactly at this point?
Around 240s is what I last caught, and Congress is now in that 100 range, Barkha. I'll just give an approximate number because this kind of an aggregation exercise from different sources. So I think the BJP is in the 240s range and the Congress is around that late 90s to early 100s. But Barkha, can I tell you one more upset that's happening? In Odisha assembly polls, the BJP is ahead of the BJD. 116 leads coming in and 59 to the BJP. So which means that if this happens, it will be a double strike for the BJP in Odisha, both Lok Sabha and Assembly. This might well pave way for Odisha to become another one of those BJP states, both from the Lok Sabha and the Assembly. So that's just a side note. And in Andhra Assembly elections, the TDP is sweeping the state along with its NDA partners. So 116 to the TDP. Jagan Reddy's YSRCP is at 21 right now, 21 leads. So the 155 leads, 116 to TDP, just TDP, not NDA. And Jagan Reddy's YSRCP at 21 leads. Those are, I think, important updates coming in.
But to your point on the national picture, you're basically saying the BJP is at the moment hovering at about 240, so falling short of that.
Yes.
And the Congress is approaching 100 on its own?
Yes. And can I just give you some election commission data on that?
Yes, please.
Because,
yes,
again,
please.
With the health warning that, this is delayed. As per the election commission's slow pace of data, 536 seats leads announced, 233 BJP, 99 Congress. But one more thing, Barkha, in Bihar, two interesting seats, right? Siwan and Purnia, where two strong independent candidates were in the fray. Both are leading. Pappu Yadav is leading from Purnia, and from Siwan, Hina Shahab, who's the wife of Shahabuddin, she is leading. So when the final results come out, if they win, my sense is that at least we know where Pappu Yadav is going to go. And again, my sense is that we all know where Hina Shahab is going to go. So it seems like this 34-6, I'm not sure where they're adding those two. If it's
okay, hang on, because the India Alliance is ahead of the NDA again in Uttar Pradesh, right? So this is going up and down, up and down. Let me get Dilip Cherian. We've been very careful, but I think we can now say that it's going to be nothing like what the BJP or the exit poll said it would be like. That's all I'm saying. It's not going to be that, right? That much I think we can safely say. Yeah.
Also, Barkha, I think even by the tardy and extremely slow ECI data, they have counted now about 16% of the votes. And what it looks like is that Nitish and Chandrababu Naidu are definitely kingmakers. It looks to me that Mamta is holding her own. After years, it looks like Akhilesh is delivering. And it looks also that the Congress may be able to breach what was once considered impossible, the 100 mark. So, you may well have an NDA alliance being ahead of the India alliance, but these are politically significant landmarks which we need to notice. When about 16% of votes are counted, you are getting a broad sense of trends. It may not be the final results. And I think with that health warning, we can figure out what the direction is. The big new players who will emerge stronger are Nitish and Chandrababu. And if Mamta manages to hold her own, she will also be quite a power. And Akhilesh is the story of Uttar Pradesh.
Yeah, absolutely. I think if Uttar Pradesh Samajwadi Party is leading in 36 seats by itself, I'm assuming that this is some granular data that we have for the Samajwadi Party by itself, which is very, very important. And I think, Dilip, you're quite right to say these are the stories of the day. But Sadanand, for those like yourself who have been quite critical of Rahul Gandhi, I know we'll have to hold judgment till we know how the Congress is done finally. But do you believe that if the Congress breaches the 100 mark, even if the BJP is the single largest party, the state of play in India changes, and the way the Congress and the Gandhis are then perceived will also have to change.
Yeah, I think if they get if they win more than 100 seats, I think, some of these assumptions will have to be revisited. I mean, this is a party that, basically got 44 in 2014, struggled to get barely more than 50 in the last election, a lot of with a big assist from the DMK in Tamil Nadu. So if it gets more than 100, and more importantly, if it makes inroads in the Hindi heartland, which it seems to be making, I think that does kind of, force all of us to make new assessments. But I'd say, at this moment, I'd say the one thing that would, if I was in the BJP headquarters right now, I think the one thing that ought to be worrying them is that if you look at your feed, or if you look at the India Today feed, they're not the NDA number has not touched 300 for a long time now. It's been more than half an hour. And, they have, India Today has it at 289, you have it at 280. And by this time, normally you would have expected, or if they were to sort of, they would have obviously hoped for much more than that, but at least sort of to be at that 300 mark and consolidating. And the inability to do that, I think, would be, would be one thing that's one very big worry. One more thing I want to add, I've taken that, I think any reasonable person would point out that the BJP went into this with a huge advantage, right? A huge funding advantage by orders of magnitude because of electoral bonds. Much of the mainstream media perceived as being in its pocket. The cult of personality around the prime minister. All of these are big advantages for the BJP. Nobody would deny this. But there is one thing that, that I think commentators haven't, paid enough attention to, which is that it's really almost impossible to win 3 elections in a row in India, right? The last time that happened was in 1962. Even Indira Gandhi, at the peak of her power, did not win 3 back-to-back. And I think some of that is just to do with the fact that, what happens, I think, comes back to the jobs question, which I think, more than one person has raised. You find government after government after government, they're able to do stuff like build bridges, build roads, and so on. But when it comes to providing employment and getting hundreds of millions of people off from these unproductive farms and into these higher paying factory jobs, that's just something that it's not a BJP Congress thing. You can go back 50 years. Job creation is just something that's really hard to do. And so I'd say that, that would be the one, if the BJP does pull this off, and we'll see at midnight, I think it would be a remarkable thing to have pulled off, 3 in a row, because no one has pulled off 3 in a row since 1962.
Priyanka was amused with that argument, and let's find out why. Priyanka Chaturvedi, it's over to you.
Forget the past history of this country, all right? And comparing it to, oh, look, Indira Gandhi did not get her 3rd term. Oh, look, Jawaharlal Nehru got his 3rd term. When Prime Minister Modi was campaigning, he wasn't talking about all of this. The Bharatiya Janata Party did not even care what is the past history. They were there to create history, right? And I think, please, we must think of how the voters have thought over this entire election. And they very clearly let their will know that nobody can enjoy absolute power. The second thing about creating factory jobs, where are the factories in the past 10 years? What job?
That's the whole point. Nobody has created them.
Again, just allow me to complete. You were not making it exclusively about these 10 years. Let's remember, 10 years ago, and Sadanand, you've been a part of the entire campaign of 2014 of Mr. Modi. You were part of the entire narrative setting. The main thrust of the conversation was, we are going to be creating jobs, 2 crore jobs. How are the jobs coming? Again, we will encourage factories, we will encourage businesses. 10 years down the line, what is it showing? It's something only on paper, on some vision that was given, and then later perhaps termed as Jumla. So,
okay, before Sadanand responds, Priyanka, we haven't asked you about Maharashtra. We've asked you about national politics, but Maharashtra is 24-23, again, neck and neck, as was expected, in a way. Just a quick comment on Maharashtra, and I'll let Sadanand and everybody else come in. I can also see Zafar Sareshwala joining us. Go ahead, Priyanka.
So, as far as I can see, Maharashtra is concerned, by the time the counting ends, we're looking at a number above 32. That's the Mahavikas Aghadi. And as far as what we're seeing right now, neck to neck, it's not really a neck to neck. NDA, when Shiv Sena was along with them, was at 41.
Hmm.
And BJP in itself, contesting 25 seats, BJP in itself was 23 seats. Today, as an entire alliance, after breaking two regional parties, after thinking that they've done some massive consolidation of votes and getting into power in Maharashtra by hook or by crook, by undermining constitution, by doing away with whatever the Supreme Court was saying, and by mocking the entire process of how elections are conducted, how even splitting parties is concerned, what the constitution morality is, Schedule 10 of the constitution is nothing, and you're paying the price of it. After breaking two parties, and by calling it a Nakli Sena, or labeling Uddhav Balasaheb Thackeray as a Nakli Santan of Balasaheb Thackeray. And I don't know, I don't even want to get into the dirty conversations and the levels that even the Prime Minister of this country stooped to try and consolidate his vote base in Maharashtra. People of Maharashtra have spoken. Maharashtra has spoken very emphatically about what
And also, just
as
as we were speaking, the India Alliance is now 26 to 21. It changed just while you were speaking in Maharashtra. The India Alliance is ahead. Yeah,
I'm telling you, we are hitting the 32 mark and
okay.
above that in all likelihood. So that is all I'm saying. People of
Yeah, it's
Maharashtra
20,
have
but
seen
it's
how
actually
industries
20.
were taken away, how corruption was rampant, how constitutional norms were trampled upon. That's not how Maharashtra functions. And most importantly, breaking up two regional parties which were known to speak for the people of Maharashtra is another factor that has gone against BJP.
I will say, Priyanka, when I was traveling in Maharashtra, I met a number of Modi voters who felt very sympathetically towards what had happened with Uddhav Thackeray. And they said that, ha, Modi Delhi mein theek hai, lekin yahan pe to Uddhav Thackeray. And I said, but this is a national election. But that is how they processed what had happened. The election got quite localized in Maharashtra. And we are seeing that bear out in the numbers. Karthik, quickly, I need to get in the others. Karthik.
Just adding to what Priyanka just said, it's 28 to 19 in Maharashtra now. And just to add to UP, Barkha,
and 28 for the India Alliance.
Why do you think Priyanka is smiling otherwise?
No, I'm just reconfirming.
So my another question, another point I wanted to add, Barkha, was in the UP context.
Yes.
You said SP, and I think Dilip sir said that Akhilesh Yadav is back. You know what? I think once this election is over, and I can see an India blue all over the UP map right now with over 40 seats. Even if it ends with 35, what will be very interesting is, did the Congress deliver the Dalit vote to this alliance? I think that will be a big story, because I think Congress's involvement with the SP in UP brought some sanity to their caste combination.
And also the constitution, which initially seemed like an esoteric reference, the opposition managed to create this hawa that if you give the BJP large numbers, the constitution could change and the quota policy, the reservation policy could change. I met people on the ground. They didn't fully understand what is the debate, but they understood that they needed to protect their reservation policy. Okay, hang on. I need to get the others in.
One statement.
No, one second. Let me just get Zafar. Zafar's been waiting for a while. Let me just bring him in and Akshay in. Zafar Sareshwala, 299 for the NDA, 221 for India. At the moment, the BJP is below 272 and the NDA is below 300. It is not at all like what the exit polls had forecast. You have been a critic of the Prime Minister, then a fan of the Prime Minister, then you have been talking about what you've called the political decimation of Muslims. The Muslim vote seems to have, going by the exit polls, consolidated behind the India Alliance, but everything else the India exit polls said seems to have been wrong. So how do we understand what has happened or what is happening still? Zafar Sareshwala.
See, Barkha, I always believe one thing, that religious rhetoric doesn't work continuously. I mean, you take Pakistan, for example, the religious parties, once upon a time, they had. But after a certain time, they were waning. I am here in Saudi Arabia now, and I've been traveling since last 1 month. This was a place with maximum religious extremism. But over the past 5 years, they have started moderating and they feel that it cannot work. And that I'm seeing everywhere. So religious extremism cannot work. The only thing which works ultimately is bread and butter, jobs. These are the real issues. And you have traveled across the country, Barkha. You know exactly what was going on. So that has come up. And one more thing which I had said on your show earlier, that no political party in India can win only on Muslim votes. They need to have sizable Hindu votes also. And that has happened in UP. Samajwadi Party and Congress, of course, they had Muslim votes with them. But now that Hindu vote has also come to them, and that is the reflection in the results which we see.
Yeah. But this point about religious rhetoric is a very important one, because I was mentioning earlier, and I've written this, that Modi's own voters, when I would ask them what's the one thing you'd want to see the BJP and the Modi government change if it has a third term, they said, Ye Hindu Muslim kam kariye. Then they said jobs. These were the two answers I got all the time. Why do you think the why do you think the Prime Minister made the kind of speeches he did in the campaign? He must have been getting some feedback that it was working, but all the people we were meeting, it was not working for them.
No, in fact, I was in London. I met people of the overseas BJP people here in London, and they were also saying this, that it's not needed. You don't need. Okay, initially, bolte hain ke this whole religious extremism or rhetoric works like mirch masala to make the food tasty. लेकिन अगर खाना ही ठीक नहीं है और मिर्च मसाला डालोगे आप, तो खाना और बिगड़ जाएगा. So ultimately, Barkha, it has come up, or I would say that coming of age of electoral the voters in this country. And yes, I need to compliment that in spite of 10 years anti-incumbency and all that, BJP has managed to get the seats which they have got, and that is reflection because they have done like for the infrastructure development, roads, railways, airports, lot of other things have happened. So that has given whatever it is, but that religious rhetoric has not given anything, and it will not give to anybody.
I just want to welcome to the program Ghanshyam Tiwari of the Samajwadi Party, Dr. Sanjay Baru, a senior journalist. Kartike is still with us. Hang on, Kartike. Akshay Marathe is still with us. Sadanand Dhume is still with us. If you have just joined us, the NDA is leading in 300 seats to the India Alliance's 220. While we are still waiting for the final numbers, one thing is clear. The exit poll projection for both alliances has been proven to be wrong. I want to start with Sanjay Baru. Sanjay Baru had a column in the Indian Express where you said even the BJP doesn't want 400 par or 370, which is the target that Modi set for the BJP. You said even the BJP's, Modi's colleagues don't want the party to be that powerful. I don't know what the final numbers will be, but it ain't going to be 370 for the BJP. Sanjay Baru, your first thoughts? I can't hear Sanjay. Okay, Dr. Baru, I think you're muted at your end. We can't hear you. Karthik, do you have a quick update till then?
Barkha, I think this might interest Sadanand now. I think for some time now, it has stabilized at a point where NDA is in the 290 to 300 range, sometimes slipped down to the late 280s. And the India Alliance is in the 220 to 230 range. And I think this seems to have now stabilized for, I think, an hour. So if nothing dramatic happens, we are looking at a prospect of an NDA government. Yes, Madhvirata is leading. NDA government with the BJP probably not crossing 272. An India Bloc where the Congress might cross 100. And that, I think, could be the larger narrative of the results that are coming through. I'm just saying this because at this point, it has stabilized now for some time. I mean, if something had to happen, it would have happened by now. It just seems to have stabilized for the last 45 minutes or so.
Okay, so the big question is, will NDA cross 300? So look at how the goalpost has shifted. Earlier, it was, will NDA cross 400? Then it was, will BJP retain 303, which is what it got last time? Now we are looking at whether NDA, please, can you not speak? Whether NDA will be at 300. Ghanshyam Tiwari, your first responses.
Good morning to everyone, and good morning to a country that is saying, "Fut off dictatorship." This is end of road for nightmarish fantasy of Narendra Modi, Amit Shah, Godi media, the Beiman Punjipatis of electoral bonds to install dictatorship in India. From Uttar Pradesh to across the country, the message is clear. You can capture the exit polls, you can capture the media, but you cannot capture the dreams of a common man who BJP has robbed from basic sense of prosperity. You can't capture the dreams of daughters who BJP robbed by putting Brijbhushan Sharan Singh like people, or Bilkis Bano rapists by propping them up. BJP has lost the mandate in the real sense. If it is with this kind of misuse of machinery that BJP is somehow is able to form the government, Barkha, mark my word, every day in the country there will be protest against BJP, protest against Mr. Modi if he ends up becoming the BJP Prime Minister. Every day, the government that BJP will provide to India will face daily protests from farmers, from youth, from daughters of India against the misrule that they have indulged in last 10 years, and it will begin in Uttar Pradesh. The upcoming state elections, BJP is going to be routed, whether it is in Maharashtra. What a sham they created. That was obviously echoed in the media, that they robbed Shiv Sena of its symbol, of its party. They robbed Sharad Pawarji's party, NCP, of its symbol, of its party. People of Maharashtra are responding. What a sham they created with Sandesh Khali in West Bengal. People are responding in West Bengal. And what a sham. Prime Minister said this election is mujra. People of India are telling the Prime Minister that you can fall to the lowest, but when the people rise, you will fall further. That Dr. Manmohan Singh said that no Indian Prime Minister has fallen to this level. People of India are showing that if the Prime Minister of India chooses to call elections in India as mujra, people will make him fall further.
Ghanshyam, can I ask you something? You said that if the BJP tries to form the government with these numbers, it will be an unstable government that will face daily dissent. Are you then saying that you do not believe that the NDA at 302 is in a position to form the government? Or are you saying that it could be a government and it's time to ask this question with a different BJP Prime Minister?
This is not NDA. This is Narendra Surrender Alliance. A group of people with Narendra Modi and a set of people who were made to surrender by greed, by force of power, by arm twisting, by blackmail. Even their candidates on record while campaigning for BJP said that they were blackmailed. So this Narendra Surrender Alliance will face daily protests from BJP. Those who they have blackmailed and arm twisted, they will face protests with the so-called allies. People like Nitish Kumar have no bearing. People like Chandrababu Naidu will not stand and face the dictatorship of BJP. There is not a single party in India with their morality in place, with their political acumen in place that wants to support BJP, because they know that if you support BJP, it's like committing suicide, or they will come and stab you in the back. They have stabbed every one of their ally in the back. So no political party today in India without pressure would be able to support BJP. And within BJP, no one wants to support Mr. Modi because it's the same blackmail method.
So you are making a very important political argument here. You are saying, irrespective of whether the BJP is the single largest party, irrespective of whether the NDA is in a position to form the government, you believe, Ghanshyam Tiwari, that there's now going to be a churn. A weakened BJP is not going to see allies like Nitish Kumar, Chandrababu Naidu necessarily stay in its camp. Correct?
For 10 years, they played Hindu-Muslim narrative, hateful narrative on TV. They captured the media. Even after that, even after a hijacked media, people are voting them out. Wait and watch as this election results are finalized. The level of anger that people have against BJP, the youth have against BJP, will not allow them to function as a popular government. They can function. They'll try to function as a dictatorial government, but people will give them back what they have given to people with misuse of machinery, with breakage of party, with destruction of democracy.
Okay, Karthike, quickly, I need to go to Dr. Baru, and I'm hoping
it is fascinating what's happening in Bihar. We thought the JDU was the weak link.
Yeah.
Of the 16 seats it's contesting, it's leading in 15, which means that all the losses are being clocked. Whatever 5-6 losses are being clocked by the BJP and the LJP. Do you know what that means? That means that the JDU will be in a much stronger position if an NDA government is formed, not a BJP government. Now, I must say that during the election, I heard murmurs from some journalists in Bihar saying that, actually RJD wants JDU to perform well and that there is something going on. I didn't believe it. I still don't believe it. But what I'm saying is that if something like that was happening, this 15 on 16 leads for JDU is mind-boggling.
Let's bring up the Bihar slide that Karthik is referring to. Dr. Baru, you're having several chuckles. I'm hoping that we can actually hear you this time. Why are you chuckling? You have a Karunanidhi look also with your dark glasses. But why are you Why are you chuckling? Why are you chuckling?
I love that Narendra Surrender alliance.
That is Ghanshyam's line for the day.
I
Yeah.
love that line. I love that line. But
Okay.
Barkha, earlier you said that I had said BJP would not even, nobody wants them to get 370. Well, they are not even touching 270. And I think that's the most important headline of this election so far. And I sincerely believe that this is a vote of no confidence in the leadership of Narendra Modi. And even if the NDA comes to power, the NDA should elect a new prime minister. I mean, I remember in 1996 when the Congress emerged as the single largest party. They took the view that though they were the single largest party, they had fallen in numbers and they had lost the mandate of the people. And Narasimha Rao was asked not to form the government. That was that Congress could have formed the government in 1996 with the support of Chandrababu Naidu and Jayalalitha. I know this for a fact, but they chose not to because they felt they had lost the mandate of the people. I think Narendra Modi has lost the mandate of the people. And therefore, if BJP does not cross 270, NDA can still form a government, but they would have to form a government, I hope, with a new prime minister. That would stabilize the government. I mean, I was worried by some of the remarks made by your panelists about the people of India not accepting a NDA government with Modi at the head of it. I think because Prime Minister Modi led a very fractious campaign, a very divisive campaign, and caused so much anger among so many people, it's important to have a government that unites people. Even if it's a BJP-led government, it should be a prime minister who has the capacity to unite India rather than continue to divide India. I think BJP Modi's strategy in this election was to see if we could polarize and get as much of the Hindu vote as possible. I think what these results so far show is that that strategy has failed. So I'm hoping that even if you have an NDA government with Chandrababu Naidu and Nitish in it, and we both know and everybody knows that neither Naidu nor Nitish have any love lost for Mr. Modi. And I hope that both of them have the courage to stand up and say that they would join an NDA government if the leader is someone else and not Narendra Modi. Because Modi has treated both Naidu and Nitish very badly, and both of them are on record having personally attacked the Prime Minister in the past. So, looking at the numbers today, it is clear that there could be an NDA government, but it will have to be an NDA government with a different Prime Minister and a different agenda from the kind of agenda that, Modi ki guarantee, Modi ki guarantee. It will have to be a BJP ki guarantee now, a BJP government led by a new leader. That is what I hope. It may happen, it may not happen, but I think that will stabilize. It's in the interest of the country to have a stable government. I think my friend Jaishankar has repeatedly said that in an uncertain world that we live in, we need a stable government to deal with all the challenges, international challenges. So if we want a stable government, it will have to be with a prime minister who is inclusive, who unites people, who reaches out to the opposition, who treats the Congress, which has had a massive, resurgence in this vote. I was just telling someone just now that in 2014, Narendra Modi's contribution was to bring the BJP back to power. But in 2024, his contribution is to have revived the Congress party. I think Congress is back in the game. So I hope we have a leader who is able to stabilize the government, who is able to unite the country, who is able to work with the opposition, pursue reforms, pursue policies that will make India a great democracy once again.
So this is a very interesting scenario that both Ghanshyam Tiwari and Dr. Sanjay Baru have painted. An NDA government with a different prime minister, shifting allies, Nitish Kumar, Chandrababu Naidu, moving out potentially. These are all now questions up in the air that can be legitimately discussed. Sadanand, you wanted to come in before I'll bring Zafar, and I can see Sriram Kari also back with us. Sadanand, go ahead.
Yeah, just a couple of things, right? I mean, there's the 1996 example. There's also the 1989 example, right, where Congress emerged as the largest party and again did not stake its claim to form a government because it felt that it had lost the people's mandate. So the question, I guess, for over here is that how low does, and I'd be curious to hear Dr. Baru's views on this, how low does the BJP need to fall before, even though it's the largest party, it can be said to have lost the mandate and not stake a claim to form the government? I think that's one important question. Right now, they're at around 240, which is which is way lower than virtually anyone would have predicted. Certainly, if you'd have had this conversation 24 hours ago or even 12 hours ago, no one would have said that the BJP would be at this time of the morning hovering at around the 240 mark. The second, I'm going to push back a little bit gently, which is that, I can understand the theory behind a non-Modi NDA or a non-Modi BJP prime minister. I can't really understand how anyone would be able to do that practically, because the fact is that this is his party, and if he chooses to say that, well, I don't have the numbers, but I want to sit in the opposition, I can't think of anyone else emerging from within the party to say that, no, we're going to form a government, and I just find that a little bit far-fetched. But so I'd be curious to hear sort of how.
Sorry.
Crystallize a little bit more.
I'm so sorry, but to the point we were talking about, Sadanand, we do have some individual breakup finally of BJP and Congress, and it is what we've been saying. The BJP is hovering at 238 seats; these are leads. The Congress at 97, the others at 205. Right? So the BJP at the moment, it's a swing of down by 65. And for the Congress at the moment, it's a gain of 45. For the others, it's a gain of 17. So we were kind of right in our assessment that the BJP is hovering at about 240 on its own. It is clearly short of the majority mark. Ghanshyam Tiwari, you wanted to come in? Yeah, Sriram, sorry, come to you right after that. Ghanshyam.
Within BJP, the leadership mantle is going to shift from Amit Shah. Amit Shah was the man behind the scene. As Arvind Kejriwal said, he was waiting for Mr. Modi to retire to take on as the prime minister. Now that backroom prime ministership that Amit Shah was trying to create is going to shift to front room prime ministership under Nitin Gadkari and Rajnath Singh. They are people who have been BJP presidents in the past. There is no love lost with Amit Shah, Narendra Modi, who have completely stymied their leadership. And with the kind of mandate, with the kind of work that they have done, it is clearly their credibility now ranks higher than Mr. Modi. And they are in better place to keep these allies of the Narendra Surrender Alliance than Mr. Modi himself.
Dr. Baru giggles. It's like a doll. You say Narendra Surrender and he giggles.
Narendra Surrender Alliance. That's the most genuine.
But Ghanshyam, Sadanand has a fair question, right? The fair question is, you can't tell another party who their leader should be. Nobody can. It's for them to decide that.
We are not saying that. I am saying that there is no single party in India today who can, without finding itself on a fatal blow, align with BJP. Aligning with the BJP is end of your party, end of your sense of democracy, end of any kind of moral propriety. And within BJP also, there are enough MPs who feel that their voice has been muffled, or they cannot express themselves, and they want a better leadership. The everyday protest that we will see against Mr. Modi in India is yet to begin, because people of India will read this verdict as saying, we wanted to change this government, but somehow there was a machinery, there was a media, there was a mechanism that did not allow our full expression to happen. And when that full expression doesn't happen through votes, it will happen through protests, because this government is not fulfilling anything. This government throughout this election did not recognize unemployment as an issue. It did not recognize inflation as the issue. In fact, they had the courage or toxicity to backstab the common man by increasing the milk prices right after the exit polls. They have the toxicity to increase the toll prices right after the exit polls and reward their famed crony capitalists with the rise in share market, because the exit polls created that kind of sentiment. So people are up against this government even after this poll result settled.
Okay, Ghanshyam, can you just briefly speak about Uttar Pradesh, where your party's led alliance is ahead of the BJP? The BJP is down to 32 seats in Uttar Pradesh. To me, this is the big story of the election, because all of the assumptions of the BJP's politics, right, emanated from their model in the Hindi-speaking heartland, which is exactly where it has actually faced its worst blow. This also raises questions about what happens to Yogi Adityanath. Does he become stronger? Does he become weaker? The central leadership of the BJP is not known to like Yogi Adityanath. He's the only chief minister that they can't actually replace at will. So there are all kinds of questions that are coming up from the UP result, which is really the story of this election, Ghanshyam.
important from the Samajwadi Party victory. One is it establishes Akhilesh Yadav as a leader of the Hindi heartland, who can speak towards the aspiration of the youth, who can speak towards the aspiration of the PDA, the Pichda Dalit Alpsankyak Adhi Abadi Mahila Alliance, who can speak about the problems that the common man, the poor and the farmers face. Remember, in Uttar Pradesh, BJP took off their alliance with RLD, thinking that this will further diminish the democracy in the state. But that's one. Second is the whole double engine. In 2022, BJP on its own got 3 crore 80 lakh votes. SP got around 3 crore votes. Now this with RLD surrendering, right? They are getting votes much less, at least 1 crore less votes. BSP is out of equation. So clearly, Samajwadi Party is the most legitimate leader in the minds of Uttar Pradesh, and Akhilesh Yadav ji is the most legitimate leader in the overall Hindi heartland, which Uttar Pradesh seems to represent. The final point is,
can I just jump in? India Alliance is leading in Ayodhya. When I was on the ground in Ayodhya, this was a possibility. Ayodhya is, of course, where the Ram Mandir is. Ayodhya also has a very complex caste dynamics, and one of the things we reported is, despite this being the pilgrim town that is host to the Ram Mandir, the caste dynamics were such that the BJP could lose. And at the moment, the Election Commission of India, this could change, is reporting that the India Alliance is leading in the seat of Ayodhya. I'm just going to let Sadanand briefly... Yeah, sorry, Ghanshyam, you want to say something?
I just say one very simple point. This outcome in Uttar Pradesh is beyond the caste dynamic. This is as best a massive outrage against BJP as one can imagine, given the high-handedness of Yogi Adityanath. He himself has lost legitimacy. But between the battle of Amit Shah and Yogi Adityanath, Amit Shah is down and Yogi Adityanath can still survive with a straw.
Okay. No, I wasn't trying to reduce the entire UP story to caste dynamics. I was just making the point about Ayodhya in a limited context. Hang on, Karthikeya. Sadanand, complete your point. Yeah.
I mean, I think, look, it's 11:30 in the morning and the BJP seems to be struggling to get beyond 240 seats. That has got to, and it's trailing in Uttar Pradesh. It's doing badly in Maharashtra. Whatever in Bihar, it's actually JDU, which surprisingly seems to be the party that's doing well. Ironically, the NDA lost in 2004 because of the, many people say because of the poor performance in Andhra Pradesh and choice of allies. It may be Chandrababu Naidu who actually saves the day for them if they end up coming back to power. But I think at this point, we've been very cautious, rightly so. But it's at 11:30 in the morning, and you don't really see any evidence so far of the BJP able to, pull ahead or reverse, or change what have been pretty stable trends so far. So I really do think that this is an earthquake. There's no other way to describe this.